Do you want to lose weight for the last time with a real food lifestyle, but you struggle with the idea of giving up sugar and flour completely? Then this episode is for you. So today we're talking about the path to peace, abstinence versus moderation. So for some people, peace comes from complete abstinence, drawing that line in the sand with processed foods. For others, it's found through moderation, and there's not a right or wrong path. The right plan is the one that you can stick to consistently and the one that brings you the most peace on your health journey. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about abstinence versus moderation and help you discover which path is right for you. This is episode number 219 of the Healthy Real Food Podcast, The Path to Peace, to abstain or to moderate. Hey, my friend. Welcome back to the Healthy Real Food Podcast. So glad that you're here. In today's episode, I wanted to talk to you about something that's come up on several coaching calls that I've had this month with different people who are wanting to approach their goal of weight loss, but struggling with the thought of abstinence and versus moderation and how to go about that. So I'm excited to dive into that a little bit more with you in this episode. For those of you who know my story, my path to peace was abstinence. I have found so much peace through going all in with a healthy real food lifestyle free from sugar and flour. But that's not right for everyone. In 2020, I was struggling with my health. I was 284 pounds, pre-diabetic. I was out of control with food, binging every night, eating over every emotion. And I just really felt so hopeless. I felt like there was no solution for me. I felt like I had tried it all, and I just got to the point, kind of my rock bottom moment, where I literally didn't recognize myself in the mirror anymore. And that just lit this fire inside of me to change my health trajectory, to find freedom with food and peace with food in my body. And that's when I discovered a healthy, real food lifestyle free from sugar and flour. And last week, was my 5-year mark from giving up sugar and flour completely. And my life is so much better in every way. Not just physically did I lose over 100 pounds, and I've kept that off for over 4 years now, but also mentally, emotionally, spiritually, right? When you change your relationship with food and you find a plan you can be consistent with, not only does it improve your physical health, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, every aspect of my life is so much better. Uh, but abstinence is not right for everyone. And one of the things I've learned as a health coach is that it's so important to customize your plan to what you can be consistent with. I've coached hundreds of people, done thousands of coaching calls, and what I've learned is that it's such an individual process, and so many people have had success with abstinence, and their lives have completely changed and transformed with that approach. While others that I've coached have done extremely well and have found peace with food and their body with moderation. One example is my brother Seth. A few months after I started this lifestyle and I started seeing incredible results with my own health, and he was watching my transformation and seeing the shift in my health trajectory, he got inspired to change his health and he started to make changes as well. So I started coaching him. He was one of the first people that I helped coach and transform their lives. But Seth was different than I was. He did not find peace in abstinence. That made it harder for him in a lot of ways. It didn't fit with his lifestyle. And what's amazing to me, because it was hard for me to imagine anything else working for anyone, right? Because like I had tried my whole life and this had finally been the solution that changed everything for me. It just seemed like they were doing it wrong if they weren't completely doing it the way I was doing it, right? But I learned from my brother that there's more than one path to peace. There's more than one path to freedom. And my brother successfully figured out moderation with a healthy real food lifestyle. So it was also in 2020 when he started, and within a year, he lost over 90 pounds. And not only did he lose 90 pounds, but he has kept it off also for over 4 years now. And it's such a miracle in our lives, in our families' lives. There's been many that we've seen in our family who's changed and transformed through a healthy real food lifestyle. But my brother took a different approach than I did. He took the approach of creating a plan with more flexibility. The other day, my two sisters, and I, with my 12-year-old daughter, we hiked to the top of Mount Timpanogos, but Seth has surpassed me and all of my family in our fitness and health. He ran to the top of Mount Timpanogos. He got to the top in 2.5 hours. So the trail that we went on is a 14-mile hike, and it's about a 4,500-foot elevation gain. It's steep, it's hard, it's high elevation, I think above 11,000 feet. And my brother, he ran to the top in 7 hours and then ran back down to meet up with the rest of us and then went the rest again. He is so healthy. He is so fit. And he has created an identity around this lifestyle that works for him. And his approach is different than mine. He has approached his healthy real food lifestyle with moderation and food boundaries that work for the need that he has to have flexibility in his life. I think it's really important for us all to understand that there is no right or wrong way to approach a healthy real food lifestyle. We have to do what works best for us and we have to find what that is. I've coached many people who have tried to moderate. Some have been successful, some have struggled, and it's become a slippery slope for them. And that's led to less peace for them. Other people I've coached approach this goal with the strategy of abstinence and have had a lot of success, but some people have found that it leads to more obsession and it doesn't work for them. There's really not a right or wrong way to approach your healthy real food lifestyle. And I think we have to ditch any moral superiority that we have to being either an abstainer or a moderator. The real power comes from self awareness and knowing which one is easier for you. The right plan for you is the one that you can be consistent with, the one that gives you peace and helps you to achieve the results that you want. James Clear teaches that to achieve sustainable lifestyle transformation, a sustainable lifestyle change, you have to not only change your behavior, but create a new identity and focus on the process. I think it's also just important to remember that the purpose of our lives is not to lose weight and follow a specific plan. We're doing all of this to help us to find a plan that helps to free up our mind and create a healthy body so that we can create the lives that we want, so we can do what we want to do and fulfill the purpose that God has put us on earth to do. Today, we're going to explore how to find your personal path to peace with a healthy real food lifestyle, whether that's with abstinence or with moderation and some flexibility, so that you can create a lifestyle that feels calm, consistent, and gets you the results that you want. Our brains are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. When we experience something really pleasurable, like sugar or shopping or social media, right, our brain releases dopamine and that makes us want more of that pleasure hormone. And then it takes more and more to get the same amount of pleasure. Our primitive brain can't think long term. It believes that more pleasure equals more survival. We have a lower part of our brain and a higher part of our brain. This lower part of our brain wants instant gratification, and it's that survival part of our brain. The higher part of our brain, where our prefrontal cortex is, it's our rational brain, and that knows that too much of a good thing can create problems, and it looks at our long-term goals, right? But the primitive brain often will win unless we set boundaries around it. So abstainers find it easier to give something up entirely than to manage moderation. Once they make a really firm decision, like drawing that line in the sand with sugar and flour, that daily mental debate disappears. All of those constant negotiations just go away. While it can be a really hard decision to make initially, and going through that initial withdrawal period can be really challenging, the brain rewires and the cravings eventually fade, leading to more peace and less inner negotiation. Abstinence is a strategy that really works best for people whose brains get lit up by triggers that are hard to control once you get started. So, for people that experience food addiction is a real thing, just like being addicted to other substances like drugs and alcohol. It's the same pathways in your brain. And foods that are highly processed can light up that reward center of your brain and cause addiction. So, abstinence is a great strategy for people who are highly susceptible to food addiction, but moderators can feel restricted by those rules. For them, total abstinence can create feelings of deprivation and eventually can backfire, resulting in overeating or overindulging or even binging. And we have to be really careful because whether you're choosing abstinence or moderation, the main goal is to avoid binging at all costs. That is the worst thing that we can do when we're in the pursuit of our goal body. Moderation allows small amounts of those foods without guilt, and it can be different with different foods, right? Some foods you might be able to feel more in control around, while other foods you can't stop yourself when you start eating them. So how do you know which path is better for you? How do you know which path is the path to peace? People can be successful with a healthy real food lifestyle when they're moderating. And the key is to plan ahead intentionally and not to make impulsive decisions in the moment. I think for all of us, whether you're on a path to peace with food and your body through moderation or with abstinence, is that we understand that everything is permissible, just not everything is beneficial. So I created an acronym to help you to navigate creating your plan and owning your plan, whether it's with abstinence or moderation. P stands for purpose, E stands for establishing boundaries, A stands for accountability, C stands for consistency, and E stands for evaluation. Okay, so let's get into this and break it down for you. So, P stands for purpose. To achieve your health goals, you have to learn to eat for purpose, not just pleasure. Like we talked about with the dopamine reward system in your brain, if you're only eating for pleasure, your brain is not going to allow you to achieve your health goals, right? We need to remember to eat for purpose, not just pleasure. And that means eating an abundance of healthy, real food from every food group. In our modern food environment, where processed foods are 70% of our food supply, intuitive eating doesn't work for most people because of the way that our brain was designed to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy. So, to achieve our health goals, we have to shift from eating what sounds good in the moment to what is going to make you feel good long term. We have to start making food decisions with the higher part of our brain and not the part of our brain that wants instant gratification. When you have a clear vision of the life that you want, free from food chatter, in a healthy body, and your why is clear, your decisions become a lot easier. Food's meant to fuel your goals, to help you to show up as your best self. And that peace can come when we align our meals with our bigger purpose, with the goal, the vision that we have, and stop making food decisions based off of our emotions or impulses. So we have to learn to calm our nervous system without food and to eat for purpose, not just to get a hit of dopamine. E stands for establishing boundaries. So boundaries are there to protect your peace and create true freedom. So just like guardrails on a steep mountain road, in our food environment, we need boundaries. Boundaries with food are so protective. Boundaries are not a punishment. It's a strategy to bypass willpower, and they define what's beneficial for your body, your mind, and your long term goals. We've talked about the benefits of abstinence and the benefits of moderation. Establishing boundaries with abstinence is pretty straightforward. So, That just means eliminating sugar and flour completely, drawing that line in the sand that you never cross. And we also create boundaries around our quantities and not snacking in between meals. We have a food exchange meal plan. And when you set up your meal plan initially, you know how much food your body needs. And to be able to create a healthy caloric reduction, we have intermittent maintenance breaks and your whole strategy laid out for you, right? So with abstinence, it's pretty straightforward. With moderation, not so much. Moderation and can be a little grayer, a little bit more flexible, but I think it's still important if you're choosing to moderate to do it intentionally, to plan ahead what food boundaries you're going to incorporate into your plan. What does that look like for you? Maybe you try the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you follow your plan, your food exchange meal plan, and 20% you have flexibility, or maybe you do 90-10. But I think the main goal here is to avoid binging. In my family, with my little girls, I don't force them to abstain from sugar and flour. They don't have the same food issues that I do. But I try to teach them these principles of moderation. And one of them is just like my pediatrician has taught. A treat is not a treat if you have one every day. So just you got to be consistent to be able to achieve your goals. You can't fool yourself and think that you can eat whatever you want and achieve your health goals too. Transformation comes from taking uncomfortable action. But if you really value that flexibility in your plan, I encourage you to decide ahead of time what those food boundaries are and approach it like a scientist. Give it your best guess. Write down your plan, write down the modifications that you're going to make, and then execute it and see what happens. See what comes up for you. And be careful when we're talking about the 80-20 rule. Moderation doesn't mean pigging out 20% of the time. It means creating flexibility for you to adjust your plan intentionally when you want to, but avoid making decisions in the moment. So ask the questions. Is this healthy? Is this escalating? Do I have peace around it? Is this messing with my weight? And also, is it worth it? Moderation may be a great plan for you, and it may not. Look at your past experience and what have you learned about yourself from the past attempts that you've had at weight loss? What's worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? And use that to inform your strategy going forward. Remember not to make decisions in the moment when you're moderating. The key is to decide ahead of time and to plan ahead. And that's where A comes in. P stood for purpose, E stood for establishing boundaries. Now, A stands for accountability. Once you decide your plan and you write it down, then you got to be accountable to someone. You got to commit that to someone. Planning and accountability keep your goals alive when motivation fades. There's a study that shows that if you have accountability, you're 65% more likely to achieve your goal. And when you check in with that person every day, that likelihood of success goes up to 95%. So, accountability is incredibly important in creating a plan that brings you peace. To be consistent, we have to learn to take action even when we don't feel like it. And we do that by creating a plan that bypasses willpower and that has daily accountability. So, the key to success with a healthy real food lifestyle, whether you're choosing to abstain or to moderate, is planning ahead. So, you can't rely on willpower to achieve your goal body. Writing down your food the night before and eating exactly what you wrote down is how you can bypass all that food chatter and the willpower depletion. If you choose to make a modification, write it down ahead of time. Plan it ahead of time and commit your plan to someone with boundaries around it. Accountability turns good intentions into consistent action. Plan your food the night before so you can make decisions with intention, not emotion. And check in with your coach, a friend, your community to stay supported in it. It's not about being perfect. C stands for consistency. The right plan for you is the one you can be consistent with. The goal is not perfection, it is consistency and unstoppability. So, small wins done daily are going to create a lasting change for you. And just remember progress over perfection. So don't beat yourself up for not being perfect, whether your plan is abstinence or moderation. You're going to make mistakes sometimes. You may not follow your plan perfectly, and that's not a reason to quit or give up. It's just an opportunity for you to learn something. So you never lose the day, you either win or you learn. Practice compassionate curiosity if you deviated from your plan. Connect with someone and tell the whole truth to avoid that shame spiral. Remember, addiction and shame thrive in isolation. So commit to return to your plan immediately, fast, and don't wait until Monday. Consistency is what transforms efforts into results. Peace doesn't come from doing everything perfectly, it comes from showing up faithfully. Focus on the process and not the outcome. When you consistently execute a winning strategy, your success goes from feeling impossible to inevitable. And every time you follow through on your plan, you're strengthening your identity, you're strengthening self trust and your confidence. Don't be afraid of failure. We strive for the A plus, but we celebrate the B minus. So when you're approaching your strategy, whether it's with abstinence or with moderation, you want to remember to be kind to yourself as you're learning these skills, but you have to keep going and stop stopping. E stands for evaluate. So as you execute this experiment with your food boundaries and your meal plan, evaluate the data and your results. If you're choosing to moderate, that awareness and self reflection is really important. Awareness and self reflection is going to help you to create growth in your program. So every choice is feedback, not failure. If you are not getting the results that you want yet, or you're struggling to be consistent with your plan, adjust it. What plan can you be consistent with that gives you the results that you want? That is the question, right? So stop judging yourself and start learning. Ask yourself the 5 questions as you're evaluating whether or not your plan is working for you. If you're taking the path to peace with moderation, you want to evaluate whether or not it's working. When you're modifying your program, ask yourself these questions. Is it healthy? Is it escalating? Do I have peace around this? Is it messing with my weight? And is this worth it? It's important to do that self reflection often weekly. Evaluation also means tracking the data. Not only do you want to track your weight to make sure it's trending over months and years, if it's trending in the direction you want to go. And remember, it's not just day to day, it's more important to look at months and years than days and weeks. So we're looking at your overall efforts. There's lots of ups and downs that are normal that happen when you're tracking your weight data. But you want to look over the long term of whether or not your strategy is working for you. So evaluation means not only tracking your weight data, but also tracking your hunger, your cravings. Are they escalating? Are you having more hunger on your current plan or less hunger? One of the benefits of abstaining is it can quiet down all that food chatter in your head and also stabilize your blood sugar so that you're not having all the spikes and dips with your blood sugar and insulin that can cause the hunger and the cravings. So you want to evaluate that. Is it getting harder for you to stay consistent with your moderation plan? How are your energy levels? And track your consistency. Are you being consistent with your plan, or is this escalating? Are you going off plan more and more? Can you keep to the 80/20 rule? So it's important to collect data and approach this journey like a scientist, looking at the data, making adjustments to your strategy as needed, and evolving as you look at your data. If abstinence isn't right for you, honor that. If you're trying to moderate and not getting the results you want, or struggling with mental chatter and negotiations, abstinence may be your path to peace, and you want to honor that. So run the experiment and find what brings you peace. We can achieve true peace on our health journey when we eat for purpose, not just pleasure, when we establish clear boundaries, get accountability so that we can stay consistent and evaluate our progress and evolve. So, our main takeaways from the call this week, I hope that you just understand that both abstaining and moderating are valid. They're valid strategies for approaching a healthy real food lifestyle. The goal is to find what is easier and more peaceful for you. Experiment, approach this like a scientist. Remember, you don't have to decide forever. Just try one approach and see how you feel with it. Adjust as you need to. But be onto your brain. Your brain is not designed to help you to achieve your goals. So make those decisions about your meal plan, about your strategy with the higher part of your brain and not in the moment. Pay attention to your brain and your emotional responses and be kind to yourself. So just ditch any judgment and shame. That definitely will prevent our progress going forward. Whether your path to peace and your goal body is through abstinence or moderation, the goal is the same: a calm body, a healthy mind, and freedom with food, a plan that you can be consistent with. So, this week, I invite you to reflect on these questions. Which path is going to bring you the most peace right now? Abstinence or moderation? What boundaries make you feel safe and confident? Do you need more accountability or more structure? What does consistency look like for you this week? And how will you measure your peace and your progress beyond the scale? I invite you to reflect on those questions when you're at a place where you're calm, you're fed, and you're in the higher part of your brain. Don't make these sorts of decisions about your strategy, about your meal plan when you're in fight or flight or in shutdown mode. We need to be in that higher part of our brain when we're making these decisions with our food. I hope that this episode just gives you permission to do that, to own your plan. I know that this topic can feel confusing. It can feel difficult to navigate whether abstinence is the right path or moderation. If you've been abstaining and you've been making progress and you have peace with your plan, don't change it. Albert Einstein defined insanity as doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. But at the same time, isn't insanity also getting the result you want and then changing your strategy? So we don't want to change our strategy. If it's working for you, keep going with it. Don't question yourself, don't second guess it. Own it. But I do want you to feel empowered if you feel like abstinence is not right for you, if you're having a hard time being consistent with that, or it's causing more food chatter and less peace. I hope you feel empowered to create the plan that helps you to find the most peace for you. Thanks for watching today. Have a great week.